Howdy, folks. I'm Krabby Cancer, cantankerously clipping creeping crabgrass.
I'm Amber.
And here's more crabgrass for us to clip. But not crabs, because crabs are our friends, and it's waving at you.
Yes.
And as you know, Cancer's a crab. Oh, and folks, we have a live stream coming up Friday. So we'll be able to start putting together and scheduling that. So make sure to check the end of the video for more details on that. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Sleeping at the Hospital with My Wife? My pregnant wife has gestational diabetes and is still a few months away from giving birth. The doctors put her on insulin, but it wasn't working and her blood sugars were too high. She called the doctor and it was recommended that she go to the hospital. She decided to drive herself to the hospital because I was at work. In fact, I was in a meeting and I didn't know what was going on until after my meeting had ended. When she got to the hospital, they confirmed that everything was fine with her and the baby, but that they wanted to admit her to get her sugar levels under control. At work that day, I received news that I was getting a promotion, and I wanted to celebrate by having a few drinks at home with my buddy. I'm always with my wife when I'm not working. I only hang out at home with a friend about once a month. I figured with everything being fine, it would actually be a good time to hang out because she won't feel as left out, as she is unable to drink currently. However, I didn't feel comfortable doing that without talking to my wife about it first. Well, after work, I packed some things for my wife, I stopped at the store to pick up some stuff that she wanted, and I drove to the hospital to see her. She assured me that her and the baby were fine, but that she was getting bored there. Eventually, I told her about my promotion and asked her if she minds if I drink at home with my buddy instead of sleeping there with her. She said that she was okay with it, so I texted my buddy to let him know that we were good and I would pick him up in a few hours. When it was almost time to leave, she started to act really cold to me and then told me just to leave already. So I continued with the plan and I left at 9 p.m. and began drinking with my buddy at home. A few hours later, she texts me and tells me that I'm being a jerk for not staying with her and that she was very hurt by it. I went to the hospital first thing in the morning to be there with her and she refused to talk to me and told me to leave. Am I the jerk for not staying at the hospital with her that night? Alright folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think OP's being the jerk here. Now, granted, the wife could have been more clear, but I'm curious how she agreed. Did she say, that's fine? Or one of the other classic, like, I don't want you to go, but I feel like I can't say no. Like,
Yeah, or he said that he was going to do this, right?
yeah,
And
like,
she didn't feel like she could say no at that point in time. It really just depends on, how he phrased it and how she phrased things too, right?
yeah. So I have a hard time, like, faulting her without knowing more details, but I definitely think I can fault him. I mean, the whole thing about, well, this is actually a good thing because she won't be missing out because she's in the hospital, as
Hmm.
if being in the hospital is a better fate than sitting watching someone drink when you can't drink. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot going on here, and I think that OP is not really considering his wife's feelings here. She is in a emotionally fragile place right now. She's in the hospital, and no one likes being at the hospital, right? And while she might be physically fine, you also have to consider, is she emotionally fine? How is her overall well-being? And then on top of it, it might come across as really insensitive to be like, oh, I know you're not feeling very well, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to party.
yeah, well, especially after she just got done telling Opie how bored she was. Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just gonna leave you to your own devices in the hospital.
Yeah. And she may have actually been okay with it to begin with, but then when things started, when the realization that OP was actually going to go home and drink and have a good time, she might have just started feeling like his priorities were wrong at that point in time.
Like, the thing about a promotion is it's not like it has to be celebrated immediately or you don't get your promotion.
Hmm.
Like, this could easily have been pushed out a few days. So why did it have to be this specific night that his wife was in the hospital?
Yeah. Well, and he could have also framed it like this. Hey, honey, I want to celebrate this at some point in time. Do you want to be there for this celebration, or would you rather have it when you're, here at the hospital right now, or something like that? And then give her the option of being like, well, I would rather not be around the celebration, or maybe, you know, something like that.
Well, is he planning on doing anything with his wife, like going out to dinner or anything, or is he just celebrating with his buddy? Because, like, usually your partner is the first person you celebrate with after a promotion. Like, you might
Hmm.
invite friends too, but the partner is usually the person you go to, like, hey, honey, let's go out to dinner.
Yeah. So, I mean, while I think that OP could have done things differently, I think that this isn't like the worst crime in the world, but it does come across as very, very insensitive and not really taking into account his wife's particular needs under the circumstances. I mean, I imagine that she, even though she's physically fine, she's probably afraid. She's probably nervous about being at the hospital. And like she said, she's bored, right? And that might be really a difficult and uncomfortable situation. And if you're capable of spending the day or night at the hospital with her, then it might be a good way to show moral support and show her solidarity with the condition that she has. And I mean, also pregnancy hormones are hard, right? Because she may even have some level of hormonal fluctuations where it didn't bother her that much, but now it really, really bothers her.
Well, and also kind of like bored is sometimes something we say when we have a hard time like quantifying the or qualifying what the actual emotion is. So she
Hmm.
could have been feeling any number of things and just like bored was the best word she could find for it or the
Yeah,
safest word she could find for it.
yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. So winner, where were your daughter and stepdaughter while you left your pregnant wife in the hospital to drink? Went back to your past history. You're the jerk. Hopefully divorce papers will come soon enough. And OP replies, we each have kids from a previous marriage. We didn't have any of our kids this weekend. I included everything that I felt was relevant. I don't know exactly why they're downvoting OP in that particular case, right? Because, like, he's being honest, right? He doesn't have the kids to take care of this weekend, so I don't know why that's, like, a terrible comment that he's made. He's just giving them information.
Yeah, but it is kind of like information that like I don't know. I feel like knowing that he has kids and he's being this irresponsible is kind of I mean, it just like doesn't paint him very good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It doesn't necessarily paint him in the best light. I mean, the situation doesn't necessarily paint him in the best light. And Starry Night 764 says, your wife is in the hospital and you're more concerned with drinking with your buddies. You're the jerk and it's time to grow up. And emotional mycologist 9 says, but he only hangs out with his friend once a month, and he won't be able to get a drink with his friends when the baby's born. You know, important stuff. Well, I also want to point out what happens if something happens tonight when, or had happened in the night when his wife was at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have been able to drive himself over to the hospital, or it might have delayed his ability to reach her, right?
Right, like people don't get admitted to the hospital just for funsies. It's a cost, and
Mm-hmm.
hospitals have limited bed space, and so even though she was fine, it didn't mean that things couldn't have changed.
Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, will I be a jerk if I bought my wife a cruise ticket that she doesn't want? I am a 42-year-old male, and my wife is a 40-year-old female, and she does not do cruises, like at all. She read about the Titanic one time and noped out of the whole boat thing for life. She also says the idea of being out in the middle of nowhere is just a huge no-no for her. Well, I've been eyeing this new cruise ship that just set sail last month, Icon of the Seas, if this is relevant. And it looks pretty enticing. Yesterday, we were all looking at the destination, we as my wife and the kids, and my wife was just quiet the whole time, which I didn't discuss until after the kids had left the room. She just scolded me about how I know that she doesn't like boats or cruises, but I thought that she should give it a chance at least this one time, since the destinations that we were looking at were most of the places that she wanted to visit: France, Spain, etc. We talked about it a bit more, discussing the pros and cons, weighing between cruise or flying. If we went, this would be our first time and all that stuff. I think that I was making a good progress with her and persuading her, but eventually she just backtracked and went back to her forget about it approach. She said that if we did a cruise, she wasn't going, and I really did want her to come, since it's not really a family vacation if she doesn't go. I just put the topic on hold and decided that we would talk about it later. But now, I'm wondering if I should just buy a ticket, since she is never one to waste money, so she probably will have to come with us. In the past, she swore up and down that she wouldn't like a destination, gave it a chance, and enjoyed herself. So now here I am, asking the internet of strangers on this site, hoping to figure out if I would be 100% wrong if I were to go through with this. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP would be the jerk. That is very manipulative. She has said explicitly she does not want to go on a cruise. If you go on a cruise, don't book her a ticket. And you're trying to coerce her. And I also wonder about, oh, it wouldn't feel like a family vacation without her. Is that because you wouldn't have someone to wrangle the kids?
Well, I mean, it depends, right? I mean, I think that it sounds like OP wants his wife to have a good time, and I think that his the means that he is attempting to do this with are not good, right? I think that he has the wrong thing at focus, right? Do you want your wife to have a good time on this family vacation, or do you just want her to be there? I think is the real question. A cruise is one of those things where it might not be all fun and games for her. If she is afraid of being out in the middle of the open ocean, then that might not be the best option for her. And I think that OP needs to really think about her level of comfort here. And I mean, the thing is, like, these cruise ships, they're small cities, and in all likelihood, she probably wouldn't even feel like the waves or anything like that or the motion. But sometimes people do, and they do get motion sick from these trips, right? So, I think that OP's approach here is a pretty flawed approach.
Very underhanded to
Mm-hmm.
try and use her, like, financial concerns against her to manipulate her into going.
Yeah.
And again, it sounds like he's so invested in him getting his way that he doesn't care what means it takes to get her there. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not okay.
No, it isn't. And it sounds like this isn't the first time where he's kind of coerced her in one way or another to go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. And that isn't really a healthy way to resolve conflict in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's part of why I wonder if he, like, and people can change their minds, of course. People can go places and be like, oh, actually, that wasn't so bad. But it just really feels to me like he is so concerned on doing the thing he wants in the way he wants, that it doesn't matter what happens with everyone else. They just have to fall in line behind him.
Yeah, and that's really what it seems like. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Lee Z says, "You're the jerk. She's not going to go on a cruise with you. Buying her a ticket is a waste of money and is exactly what she told you not to do. You shouldn't try to corner her into doing something that she expressed that she's not interested in. Of course you're the jerk." And Boy OD says, "You're the jerk. She says no, and literally could not have been more clear that she was not going to be going. Stop trying to persuade her. The answer is no. Buying one at this point and hoping that she'll go so that you don't have to waste money is borderline manipulative." I wouldn't say it's borderline
No, it's
manipulative.
full on manipulative.
All right, folks, then our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for refusing to buy back a family heirloom?" My brother Jason died 3 years ago. His widow, Lori, refused to return a necklace that he had given to her, which had belonged to my great-grandmother. The necklace wasn't expensive or anything, and it wasn't really worth anything except sentimental value, and we had just wanted to stay in the family. Jason and Lori didn't have any children that necklace would be passed down to. Nevertheless, Lori refused to give it back. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, I get a message on social media from Lori asking me to meet. She comes over to my house and explains that she's had a very hard time since Jason's death, and now is in significant amounts of debt, which they were in when he was alive. She then says that she would be willing to sell my great-grandmother's necklace to me for $1,000. The necklace, if an appraiser had looked at it, would have said that it's worth about $150. I told Lori that she was out of her mind to come and attempt to extort money out of me with a piece of my family history, among other things that were not as child friendly. Eventually she left. My mom is pretty angry that I didn't buy back the necklace. She says that I should have at least tried to negotiate with Lori, and that standing on principle was stupid. My dad, the necklace came from his side of the family, agrees with me. The thing is this, I made peace with not having the necklace. I have something to remember that particular piece of family history, a ring from the same jewelry set. And as garbage as I found that Lori wouldn't return it, it felt even more slimy that she held it to ransom all these years. The thought of her profiting from what I consider a misdeed in the first place doesn't sit right with me. However, My aunts have now heard about it and are on my mom's side. So now I'm wondering if I made a bad decision. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think Opie's the jerk. And if the aunts and mom really want to get the jewelry item back, there's no saying that they can't pitch in and talk to her themselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's not OP's responsibility. Now, the necklace was a gift to Lori, and it's a little trickier with family history. I can understand why the family would want this piece back, but it was technically hers, fair and square. But this whole trying to profit off of it, that is very slimy, and I can understand why OP would not want to shell out $1,000 for a $150 necklace.
Yeah. Like if she had requested $200, right? Or even $250, then that might have been a little easier to swallow and been the place that they could have negotiated at. But when you're this far out of alignment on what the price will be, that's not going to be possible to negotiate, right?
No, and I mean, it seems to be pretty clear that she knew the necklace wasn't very valuable to anyone except for the family. And so that's why she went the route of trying to get someone in the family to buy it instead of selling it to a pawn shop or somewhere else where they would have given her way less.
Yeah, and I think that this is pretty clear that she is doing this purposefully to extort money out of them. And honestly, I think that OP made the right call. You shouldn't allow yourself to be extorted by somebody. You have sentimental attachment to that necklace, and she's using that sentiment to essentially try to rob you of $1,000.
Right. If you need money, there are ways to ask. Like, she could have just been like, "Hey, OP, I'm really struggling. Any chance you could pitch in?" If they had any kind of relationship, it sounds like they probably didn't, and they probably ended on bad terms, but or not the best terms. But to just straight up be like, your great grandma's necklace, I'm gonna sell this to you for $1,000, which is like almost 10 times markup.
Well, let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Aggravating Pain 9249 says, first of all, it was well within Lori's right to refuse to return a necklace that she was given from your side of the family. It was hers the moment that her husband gave it to her. Second, this came from your father's side of the family, and your mother and her sister should not be here to sway your opinion. Your father is fine with your decision. I might have asked to have it appraised and then decided, but that is just me and not you. You made peace with not having it, which is great, not the jerk. And OP replies, it's her legal right, yes, but I still think it's kind of garbage. It's my father's sister that have sided with my mom. Having it appraised would have taken ages, and I own enough jewelry to know what it is, and it isn't worth $1,000. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a alleged joke, or a rhyme, probably a rhyme.
What's a cloud's favorite hair accessory?
Cloud's favorite hair accessory is a cumulus comb.
A rainbow.
A rainbow? That makes sense. I like it. And I have licorice spice.
For realsies.
Yes, for real. We actually bought licorice spice this grocery day, so now apple cinnamon tea will sit in the back of our closet until it is needed once more. It's like the Batman of our teas. It's not the tea that we want, but it's the tea that we deserve. I'm just kidding. It's fine. I like it. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Terrific Tuesday. That's spelled TWO. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And make it a little bit coercive.
It's fine if you want to do activities your partner doesn't, but if you start coercing them, then you cross the line. Don't do that. No coercion.
I think that works. Oh, and folks, don't forget there is a live stream happening February 23rd, which is this Friday. It's really approaching very quickly. So I hope to see you all there. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.